I'm John Furrier with theCUBE. I am here at the New York Stock Exchange, our East Coast studio, our local access subnet. We also got Silicon Valley connecting tech and Wall Street. And there's a great CUBE conversation with Rajiv Ramaswami, who's the CEO of Nutanix, here with me as a preview for the upcoming next event conference. Rajiv, great to see you. Thanks for coming on, doing a preview for the big event you got going on. Always a great time. Looking forward to getting the data, finding out what's going on.
Absolutely, John. Look forward to it, and nice to see you on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange there.
How do you feel about the event so far? Attendance looking good so far coming in? What's the vibes?
We're quite excited, actually. So the event is in Washington, D.C., as you know, May 7th through 9th. It's our annual .NEXT conference. And we're actually quite enthused by the interest that we're seeing across our customer base, our prospects who are not yet our customers, as well as a growing and broadening ecosystem of partners. And they're all going to be there. We're excited. The attendance numbers keep going up every day here as we speak, and looking forward to seeing everybody there.
Well, I know you guys got a lot of great partners and customers, and the market conditions, you couldn't ask for a better, favorable market. AI infrastructure is the hottest, obviously seeing the chip action, large scale, platform engineering, which is where you guys are playing in the wheelhouse. And then of course on top, you got the data layer. What are you seeing in the market landscape right now that's driving your business? What are some of the market dynamics? And you share your thoughts on what's the keys to success and what's driving Nutanix business.
Yeah, and maybe we'll start big picture and work our way down here. So on a big picture basis, look, at the end of the day here, the modern business is all about applications and data and creating value for everybody, customers, employees, from the applications and the data. So they've become the lifeblood of the enterprise. Now, as companies build all these applications and they start using all the data that they have at their disposal, and these applications also generate data, they're now looking to see how they can manage and run all of this. And it's increasingly complex world. You've got your traditional applications, you've got your modern applications that you're building now, and you're operating across your data centers, multiple public clouds, and edge locations. And all the time, there's a significant shortage of talent, and you're looking to invest in new capabilities. So like, how do you bring AI to the enterprise? How do you drive productivity, efficiency, unlock new capabilities? These are all top of mind for our customers. And this is really what we at Nutanix are trying to address with the platform that we bring to market.
You know, it's interesting, you mentioned skills, right? One of the biggest conversations in the hottest areas where they're talking about how cryptos with decentralized infrastructure, the role of AI, and then multi-cloud, there's skills gaps, but also there's labor shortages, right? So you have people either aging out in some verticals, and sometimes it's just not enough people to do the jobs. And then you also have developers writing AI native applications, kind of a new term that's kicked around. They got to run on something, right? So like, this is a huge deal, right? People want to have on-prem because of the data. They want to use multi-cloud and hybrid cloud in a way that's going to be distributed computing. You and I have talked about this many times. So that's kind of been happening. But this rise of the AI native applications and the agents are converging fast. And then, of course, the labor piece is addressed by AI. We're seeing that effect. So tie that together for us. What does that mean for customers in the market? What's that? What's the impact?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think almost every new application that's being built in an organization or an enterprise is going to include AI in it. And whether that's going to be traditional kinds of AI or generative, or whether it's going to be now moving forward, looking at agentic options where you're seeing multiple automated entities come together to make things happen in your company or across various things. That is the future. That's really what everybody's trying to do. And they're trying to do this to drive efficiencies up, drive productivity up, bring on more capabilities. Now that world, as you said, it is complex. And one of the things that we try and do fundamentally as a company ever since our founding was to try and make that as simple as possible. Make it simple, make it easy, make it automated. And it addresses this massive skills gap that's out there. It also addresses the labor shortage that's out there. And you can do this in a much simpler way. And that's always been our mantra from day one. And we're now doing the same when it comes to AI and enabling AI applications to be deployed in a secure and private way wherever companies would like to deploy them, wherever the data is present, which is everywhere, by the way. Some on-prem, some at the edges, some in data in public clouds. That's what we're doing at Nutanix.
That's awesome. Let's get into some of the core business. Obviously, as the chief executive, you got to overlook all the action, customers, partners, engineering. I mean, your journey at Nutanix, if you look at it, the pioneer in hyperconvergence, we've seen that, the embracing of a hybrid cloud, embracing that. And now with the rise of these new trends, right, it's coming on the scene fast. What is your vision for the future for Nutanix? Because you guys are transforming at the same time as your customer base, but you got to be faster and ahead of the curve. What is the vision?
Yeah, in very, very simple terms, we want to be, and we aspire to be the leading platform for organizations and companies around the world to run all their applications and manage their data anywhere. Now, it's a very simple statement, but hides a lot of underlying complexity behind it. And our job is to really support the range of applications that companies have, whether it's legacy virtual machine applications, whether it's these modern cloud-native applications that they're building, whether it's these AI inferencing and agentic applications that are coming on board over the next few years. Wherever they're running it, with all the data that gets harnessed to make these applications useful. Putting all that together, running them on a simple platform, that's really what we are aiming to be doing. And as you said, Nutanix has evolved over time. We started out with this vision of HCI and hyperconverged, converging compute and storage and providing the simplicity of management and automation. We then extended the platform to multiple public clouds, Azure, AWS, and others, including service providers. And now we're on that next cusp of innovation, which is all around making cloud-native applications easy to deploy, making AI applications easy to deploy and run, manage them all in a secure way, provide that capability to enterprises to be cost-effective. And at the same time, by the way, let's talk about what's happening currently. We're also helping companies manage ongoing risk with respect to some of their existing vendors and helping them migrate to a platform that can evolve with them as their future evolves.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I love that modern angle there. I mean, looking forward to the future, Nutanix has always been kind of modernizing. In fact, you look at the work that you guys have done in multi-cloud. For instance, I think the last time we talked, I think we talked a lot about multi-cloud, Kubernetes. This is kind of where the action's been for the past, I would say, good 8 solid years, if not a decade, when Kubernetes came on the scene.
Yes.
And now Kubernetes is kind of like boring, which means it's working, like Linux, right? It's like it's a key part of the infrastructure. You've been modernizing companies as a key value proposition. Again, with the backdrop of the market dynamics and the vision, there's a whole nother modernization definition. Could you share how you guys are connecting the dots for customers between that cloud native Kubernetes world? Because you're seeing predictive analytics and platform engineering coming together with this Gen AI at the center. Yeah, machine learning's been around for a while in production, certainly banks, fraud detection, you name use cases. But generative AI is modern, it's driving a lot of change. So connect the dots on this new modernization layer. Will we hear a little bit about that at Next too?
Absolutely. In fact, the focus of .next is really about that future, about the future of the modern enterprise, the future of the modern organization, how they're going to make use of generative AI and agentic AI and bring them together along with cloud native to build these new applications and modernize how they do business. That's really a focus. Now, as you know, tech is never static, right? And we've always been about modernizing various parts. First, it was about simply modernizing how you put compute and storage together and run your infrastructure in the data center. Then it became, how do you extend all of that into the public cloud? And now it's about how do you mix and match the old world and the new world. You're constantly building these new applications. You're constantly trying to use AI, while at the same time you have to deal with your keeping the lights on, dealing with enterprise risk, making sure your current mission critical applications are running just fine. And you want to work with platforms that can enable this entire gamut, right? Yeah. Run your current applications, do them well, reduce the risk, make sure those are mission critical, work well, and at the same time allowing you to innovate and bring on these new things to bear. So the new modernization is about how do you actually tap into cloud native, how do you tap into AI to modernize the entire organization and build these newer applications that drive productivity, drive efficiencies across, and bring on new capabilities. And we aim to be the underlying platform to make that happen.
Rajiv, I love talking with you because you're a technologist, and again, some people, it's very nuanced, the whole Kubernetes, but how it intersects with AI. And it's great to see CEOs that have product knowledge and technology background, and you can see the moves that others that are making that have similar profile, because it's a systems game now. Let me quickly, before we move on to the next section, I want to talk about some of the nuances around the systems mindset, because you're connecting systems now together, and if you do it right, there's scale there. So, you know, Gen AI loves end-to-end workloads. They love domain data, right? Expertise. That's enterprise, right? It's an end-to-end workflow, and Kubernetes has been plowing the fields there for years on the platform side. Now it's kind of coming together. So I'd just to share a little bit more from a system standpoint. We got this new systems level thinking with customers, and certainly the coding levels are going down to the lower in the stack. All the top companies are hiring coders, and the first code assistants will take up top of the stack. But this idea of systems thinking is pretty important. What's your view on that?
Yeah, and I think, look, a lot of different pieces have to come together at the end of the day for an application to run, right? An agentic application is maybe our new AI application. And there's many different layers in the stack that need to be put together. And in many cases, it's not all going to come from one place. It's going to come from a combination of things. And so if you look at the stack today, yes, you have your hardware of choice in your data center, or you might be using public cloud hardware if you're running in the public cloud. You have a hypervisor layer that provides a baseline for how you manage everything, including legacy applications and modern applications. Then you have your Kubernetes stack that allows you to be the platform for orchestrating and running these modern cloud native applications. And on top of that, we have something called Nutanix Enterprise AI, which provides a layer of infrastructure capabilities that allow these AI inferencing applications to be simply run on the platform. And what's in that layer keeps changing as AI keeps evolving rapidly. In the early days, it's very simple. When we first came out with that, it was just effectively being able to download a model of your choice, tie it into the GPUs, and create an OpenAI compatible API that developers could use. Now there's a lot more capabilities included in there, right? The ability to fine tune, the ability to re-rank, the ability to route LLMs and load balance across multiple GPUs. There's so many new capabilities being introduced in that layer of the stack every day. And there's multiple versions of these stacks. NVIDIA has a stack that we partner very closely with them on to make that available. There's open source versions that are also out there that we make available. So now you put the stack together, and then along with all of that, you need all the data management capabilities to be put together. And then you bring that all together into a stack that can now be used almost in a turnkey fashion by an enterprise, because that's what they need. They don't want to be sitting there putting all of these building blocks together, because then that's what they're spending their time on. They should be spending their time on what's the new application that is specific to my business that I need to go build and run that's going to enable me to be productive. The rest of it, they should take for granted, and that's really what we try and do.
Yeah, and that's a great strategy too, by the way, because the validation there, not to chime in, but I would say, one, multi-cloud is hard with data gravity. Storage systems are changing with the dynamics of the underlying infrastructure architecture, and agents got to be ready to run across multiple environments. I mean, this is like, it sounds easy to say it, but those are hard things. I mean, that's like the puzzle pieces, as you said, coming together. That's extremely difficult for companies to do on their own. I mean, it's a big deal.
No, I 100% agree with you, John. And that's really the founding mission of our company, right? To try to make these complex enterprise software pieces come together, make things simple by, one thing that we do very well is hide all this underlying complexity in what we bring to the table and the market, so that as a user, for somebody to use us, it's really, really simple, whether it's operating at an infrastructure layer or at an application layer. And at the same time, by the way, one of the things I think for a lot of our audience is also making sure that they remain relevant to their organization's futures. So if you're a virtual machine admin today, you want to develop the skills necessary to become a platform engineer, because you're going to be a Kubernetes platform engineer, and that's what it's going to take for you to stand up these new modern environments so that developers at your company can run and build these modern AI applications. So it's equally important, and part of our conference is also about helping our audience acquire these skill sets, get training, be exposed to these new technologies, and figure out how they can grow their skills from a career perspective.
Job security at Nutanix, always a good bet. Let's shift into the ecosystem because this is an area that we're covering very, very heavily right now. In this changeover, in this modern era we're in, I guess modern era twice, because we're kind of going through it for the past decade, but with AI it's highly accelerated. Ecosystems is where you can really observe the social proof of success. Could you share how you guys are expanding your ecosystem? What's the plan? What's it look like? Share the current state of the Nutanix ecosystem, because this is where you can see what's happening, because your partners are also working in there. Give an update on the new partnerships or anything you're doing with ecosystem and what we can expect, because if you got a thriving ecosystem, that means things are good. If you don't, then red flag.
Yeah, in fact, our ecosystem is continuing to grow every day here. In some ways, by the way, for us to be the platform for enterprises, platform is equally defined by the breadth of the ecosystem. And our ecosystem continues to grow. We're actually thrilled to have many of our ecosystem partners sponsor this event, co-sponsor it with us, and be there in person. And that number continues to grow every year. Now, if you look at the different components of that ecosystem, we've always had our traditional hardware partners. So when it comes to server manufacturers and server vendors, I mean, we've had now partnerships with almost all of them for many years, with some of the more recent ones being rekindling of our partnership with Dell, and of course, the building of a new partnership with Cisco, among others, at that layer. We've also started partnering with storage providers, which we never used to do in the past, but that's driven by the new reality now that we have a cloud platform that's broader than just HCI that needs to work with a much broader ecosystem of what's out there. So we have now our platform now supports Dell's PowerFlex storage system, and that's becoming generally available soon, and you're going to hear more about that at the conference. We're also working to expand that storage ecosystem of partners. Then we have our cloud partners that we've been working with, Microsoft, AWS. These have been partners for a while, right? And that's another important layer in terms of extending and providing ultimately the capability that customers want to be able to run their apps anywhere. And now there's a whole host of newer partners around AI. So our partnership with NVIDIA continues to deepen. Last year, we were working with them on their inferencing, NVIDIA NIMs, and then NVIDIA AI for enterprises. And now as they start developing new capabilities, those are all things that we incorporate in our platform. There's also a growing set of ecosystem partners around AI, smaller companies, the independent software vendors, companies like DataRobot that we work with, Hugging Face, very important in terms of the repository of models that they carry and our ability to connect with them, automatically download those models, them providing service capabilities to our enterprise customers, which many people need, because that's really what it takes for them to run these AI applications. So that ecosystem is a relatively new ecosystem for us that we have been working hard to continue to grow, and you'll see more of that as well at the show this year.
Well, we'll be there with theCUBE. We'll definitely be observing and watching the ecosystem, because that's where the tell signs are, where the action is. Thanks for sharing the stats on what's going on there. Okay, now let's talk about the event. What can people expect this year? I know you really can't do any pre-announcements. I'd love you to spill the beans on theCUBE here, but I know you won't. I've tried many times to get the news out of you. It's been hard to get the preview, hardcore, but give us a little teaser. What can people expect for insights? What's some of the high-level programming that they'll see? What can they expect?
Yeah, at a broad level, by the way, it's going to be about the themes that we already discussed, which is how do you plan how can we help in terms of the organization evolution for the next 5-10 years? How can customers work with us to build these modern applications, cloud-native applications? How can they use generative AI effectively in the enterprise? Those are going to be big themes. At the same time, how can they reduce their enterprise risk today with some of the other current vendors out there and figure out a path forward that they can actually run their business safely and effectively on a platform like ours? Those are going to be the fundamental themes. Now, you should expect, as with .next, we're going to have a bunch of exciting tech announcements from a product perspective, and also ecosystem partner announcements. Those are what I look forward to. I'm not going to tell you what they are at this point. Please come to the show and join us at the show. And We look forward to seeing you there. And the other important component is also hearing from customers. So you hear from a number of customers about their experiences. How are they dealing with some of these issues that we talk about?
Yeah.
How are they dealing with their migrations? How are they dealing with modern applications? And what are they doing in AI? So you're going to hear from that community, very important community of customers who tell our story better than we can ourselves tell in many cases. So you're going to hear from that. And then the last part is there's going to be a lot of education-oriented things at getting our practitioners out there to be trained and equipped for this next generation that's coming at them.
Yeah. Rajiv, I'm totally looking forward to it. I got to tell you, just from our standpoint here in New York City, as we open up this Wall Street, kind of the investor kind of world, as well as Silicon Valley and the events we've gone to, the customer activity is the highest I've ever seen it ever in my career, because all the confluence of all these different things are happening at the same time, up and down the stack. I mean, every layer of the stack has innovation with upside, and it's happening fast. So the speed game is fast. So those customer stories will drive the movement. So I'm looking forward to hearing those. Any top use cases or any kind of things pop out from customers that you can share to kind of wrap this up? I mean, what's the hot areas that you're seeing with customers right now?
Look, I mean, a very topical thing for a lot of customers is how do they reduce their risk with their incumbent vendor, right? Broadcom now with having purchased VMware. That's very much top of mind for a lot of customers, of course. But then for a lot of them, that's just one, it's a tactical issue, right? Yeah. What they're now thinking through as they go through this is, what is their platform of the future? What is their end state from an architectural perspective? What do they want to do with their applications? What do they want to, where do they want to run them? What's the platform they want to run them? What's going to take them into the future? And so these decisions get intertwined. And really, I think it's not just about a migration from one vendor to another vendor, but it's about really what is this future about and who can they best partner with to take them into the future. And we are excited to be considered as part of that solution. And we've always been about making sure our customers are successful. We're proud about the fact that that's our number one culture principle inside the company, obsess about our customer success. And we've been doing that ever since we were founded. And our Net Promoter Score, which is what our customers rate us, has been 90 plus for the last 10 years. And we intend to keep it that way. And we look forward to sharing all of this with our customers and partners.
Rajiv, great journey. Thanks for coming on theCUBE and sharing the preview. Again, we're seeing a lot of AI infrastructure, software and hardware working well together, and the new tsunami of apps, not just modern apps, but I would say AI-enabled or retrofitted apps for the enterprise that they're used to and they love. Platforms and tools that they have, they're going to keep around. So AI makes that better. So thank you so much for spending the time with theCUBE, previewing Nutanix Next.
Thank you very much, John.
Okay, I'm John Furrier here remotely in the New York Stock Exchange with the CEO of Nutanix, previewing the upcoming Next conference event. It's a user conference. All the customers will be there, partner ecosystems, and the big announcements will be there. It's going to be chock full of transformative announcements in AI, and of course, AI infrastructure that runs it all. So as we see agents come in, we'll expect to see some great things from Nutanix. Thanks for watching.